Sparta's unyielding might, the destruction of the Athenian Empire. The Peloponnesian War was a clash of two rival powers, each representing distinct ideologies and ways of life. On one side stood Athens, a city of democracy, intellectualism, and maritime prowess, commanding a vast empire across the Aegean. On the other stood Sparta, a society built on austerity, discipline, and an unyielding commitment to military superiority. The conflict between these two city-states was not only a war for dominance but a battle to prove which way of life would define the Greek world. After years of brutal warfare, Sparta's unrelenting strength would bring the Athenian Empire to its knees. Part 1: The Spartan Code of Discipline. At the heart of Sparta's success was its rigorous social and military system. From a young age, Spartan boys were trained in the agoge, a strict education and training program that emphasized endurance, obedience, and martial skill. By adulthood, every Spartan male was a seasoned warrior, loyal above all to the state. This devotion to discipline and communal loyalty created a society singularly focused on survival and strength, producing soldiers who were unmatched in battle. While Athens cultivated a thriving culture of arts, philosophy, and commerce, Sparta remained dedicated to its military ethos. Spartans shunned wealth, luxury, and personal ambition, values that they believed made them impervious to the corrupting influence of power. Sparta's ruling council, led by two kings and a small group of elders, sought to prevent any individual or faction from threatening the state's stability. To the Spartans, Athens' democratic experiment seemed reckless, its emphasis on freedom and personal expression a dangerous distraction. When tensions escalated into the Peloponnesian War, Sparta was prepared to commit everything to its victory, viewing the conflict not only as a war for supremacy, but as a struggle for the survival of the Spartan way of life. Part 2: The Early Years of War and the Athenian Advantage. In the early years of the war, Athens seemed to have the upper hand. With its formidable navy, Athens could strike at the Peloponnesian coast, raid Spartan territory, and control vital trade routes. The Athenian strategy, devised by Pericles, was one of endurance. They would avoid direct land battles with Sparta's hoplite army and rely on their navy to maintain supply lines, while waiting for Sparta to exhaust itself. Despite this strategy, Spartan raids on Athenian territory were relentless. Each summer, Spartan forces invaded the Athenian countryside, devastating farms and villages, seeking to force Athens into submission. But the Athenians, confident in their walls and fleet, held firm, sheltering within their city and continuing their raids on Spartan allies. The war dragged on and both sides suffered. Athens was weakened by the plague that swept through the crowded city, killing a large portion of its population, including Pericles himself. Sparta, meanwhile, grew frustrated as Athens' resilience and control of the seas prevented a swift victory. Both sides were locked in a bloody stalemate, each hoping to outlast the other. Part 3: The Turning Point, Persian Gold and the Spartan Navy. The balance of power began to shift when Sparta secured an alliance with Persia. The Persians, who had long sought to weaken the Greek states after their defeats in the Persian Wars, saw an opportunity in the ongoing conflict. They offered Sparta financial backing in exchange for Spartan promises to cede influence over the Greek cities of Asia Minor to Persian control. With Persian gold, Sparta was able to build a powerful fleet to rival Athens' navy, breaking the Athenians' long-held monopoly over the seas. Under the leadership of Lysander, a Spartan commander known for his cunning and strategic brilliance, the new Spartan navy became a formidable force. Lysander understood that to defeat Athens, Sparta needed to destroy its fleet, cutting off its trade routes and starving the city into submission. This alliance marked a pivotal moment in the war. For the first time, the Spartans could challenge Athens on the sea, threatening the very foundation of the Athenian Empire. The Persians, who had once been enemies of all Greeks, now found themselves as powerful allies to Sparta, shifting the dynamics of the conflict. Part 4: The Battle of Aegospotami, Athens' Final Defeat. In 405 BCE, Lysander set a trap for the Athenian navy at Aegospotami, a narrow strait on the Hellespont. The Athenians, unaware of the danger, had grown complacent after days of inactivity from the Spartans. Lysander, patient and calculating, waited until the Athenians were disorganized and scattered on the shore before launching a sudden attack. In a matter of hours, the Athenian fleet was decimated, nearly 180 ships lost, leaving Athens defenseless and vulnerable. The destruction of the Athenian navy was the decisive blow Sparta had been waiting for. With their fleet gone, the Athenians were cut off from the grain supplies that flowed through the Hellespont, essential for feeding the city's population. Lysander's victory at Aegospotami shattered Athenian morale and effectively ended the war. Athens was now at the mercy of Sparta, its empire in ruins and its people facing starvation. Part 5. The Fall of Athens and the Terms of Surrender. In 404 BCE, after months of siege and starvation, Athens surrendered unconditionally to Sparta. The terms of surrender were severe. Athens was forced to dismantle its long walls, the defensive fortifications that had protected the city for decades, symbolizing its fall from power. Its remaining ships were confiscated, and the once mighty Athenian Empire was dismantled. The Delian League was dissolved, and the cities that had been under Athenian control were granted independence, effectively ending Athenian influence across the Aegean. Under Spartan oversight, an oligarchic regime known as the 30 Tyrants was installed in Athens. This government, composed of Athenian aristocrats loyal to Sparta, ruled through fear and repression, executing and exiling those who supported democracy. For the people of Athens, the end of the war marked not only the loss of empire but also a period of brutal oppression, as the ideals of democracy were cast aside under Spartan control. Part 6. The Aftermath for Sparta and Greece. Sparta's victory marked the end of the Athenian Empire, but it also brought unforeseen challenges. As the new hegemon of Greece, Sparta found itself tasked with maintaining control over a divided and war-torn landscape. The Spartan way of life, so focused on military discipline and isolation, was ill-suited to the responsibilities of empire. Sparta struggled to keep its new allies and former Athenian territories in line, facing frequent rebellions and resistance. The alliance with Persia had secured Sparta's victory, but it also left a stain on its reputation. Many Greeks viewed Sparta's alliance with a foreign power as a betrayal, undermining its claims to protect Greek freedom. As the years passed, the harsh rule of the 30 Tyrants in Athens and the authoritarian nature of Spartan hegemony fueled resentment among the Greek city-states. Within a few decades, a coalition led by Thebes would challenge and ultimately break Spartan dominance at the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE. The defeat at Leuctra shattered Sparta's military supremacy and marked the beginning of a new power struggle among the Greek states, paving the way for the rise of Macedon and the conquests of Alexander the Great. Part 7. The Legacy of Sparta's Victory. The destruction of the Athenian Empire by Sparta remains a powerful testament to the strength of discipline, strategy, and patience. Sparta's victory was not achieved through sheer force alone, but through careful planning, unyielding resilience, and a willingness to ally with a former enemy to achieve its goals. The fall of Athens demonstrated that even the most powerful empires could be brought low when facing a determined and resourceful adversary. Yet, while Sparta's unyielding might had won the war, it could not secure a lasting peace. The Greek world, exhausted and divided, was left vulnerable to outside powers. The destruction of the Athenian Empire and the subsequent instability highlighted the dangers of internal conflict and the limitations of military power as a means of governance. Though Athens was defeated, the ideals it championed, democracy, intellectual freedom, and cultural innovation, would continue to inspire future generations. Sparta's dominance, by contrast, was short-lived, as its rigid society struggled to adapt to the demands of empire. In the end, it was the spirit of Athens, not the might of Sparta, that would endure, shaping the course of Western civilization. Conclusion: a cautionary tale of power and legacy. The fall of the Athenian Empire serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of power and the unpredictable outcomes of war. Sparta's victory over Athens marked the end of an era, but it also sowed the seeds of future conflict and change. The lessons of the Peloponnesian War, about ambition, resilience, and the costs of unyielding might, continue to resonate, reminding us that true power lies not only in strength but in the ability to inspire, adapt, and endure.